Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 33 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am Tim.
And this is Brian. And what are we on, take 4 now?
I think we're on take 4. So, you know that movie Happy Death Day? We're reliving the same podcast intro over and over again.
Apparently, what appropriate timing, because Tim had just saw it, so it's like...
between a combination of cats and other technical difficulties, we've had to start this episode again and again. But at least we're going to edit it this time.
Yeah, it's not raw. and the funny thing is, I almost started to laugh just thinking of all those shenanigans through our 10-second of silent thing, which I think Tim would have just gave up at that point.
But anyway, we have a pretty packed episode for you tonight as the cat almost knocks a cup over into my microphone.
Oh my god. It's like cat's eye, too. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm about to exile the cats from the room. But anyway, we're going to talk about our fun weekend at Busch Gardens HOWL-O-SCREAM. I had a haunt that I did that I want to talk about. Down in Mount Holly, North Carolina, which was really cool.
We had just a great time. Unfortunately, our live recording audio, as we played it back, was not as good as we hoped. So we're not going to air that. I know to much the chagrin of all the people that participated, but it's just that the audio quality was not up to the usual standards we have. And yes, I know we do have standards, believe it or not. But
they're low, but they're standards.
But they're there. You could see them if you look carefully. Tim's tones were anything but dulcet. Apparently, I think we were a little tired too. We had the long drive that day, and I think it was about 11 o'clock. We'd come back from dinner.
Oh god, it was later than that before we even got.
Oh right, because we had some issues, some audio issues because we tried to hook up 2 mics, and basically, long story short, we basically all shared one mic, which just made the sound quality kind of bad.
Yeah, so anyway, so we spared you,
yeah.
Believe me.
We have enough audio to play for you, so.
But since we have a long episode tonight, let's get right into it with our first chop. So, Brian, we had some big news this weekend on the box office front. The movie that we were both looking forward to, I think, Happy Death Day, bowed out with a $26.5 million opening. I guess bowed in with a $26.5 million opening, which was about 5 times its budget.
Yeah, and they basically put it at number 1. So we got another horror movie at number 1, which is very exciting. And you know, we still have at least depending on how, I don't think Texas Leatherface will have a chance at it because I think it's very limited release in the for theatrical, but we have Jigsaw coming up, which could be easily, I could see that being another number 1. So this is a good time for horror, as we kind of mentioned on Civil Gore. It could really go this way, and I think we're really kind of heading that way now.
So let me ask you this, Brian. Do you think you brought up a good point earlier in one of our earlier takes, actually, when you said that this movie Happy Death Day could have been boosted by having a really great trailer in front of it, which I think is a very valid point. But on the other hand, we've also seen this kind of tidal wave of horror coming for quite some time now, even before it released. The horror on television is exploding right now. There's so many series right now, I can't even keep up with all of them.
Right, and you know, in one of the other takes we were listing them, but we forgot one too. Lore is releasing on Amazon, which is, you know, not always, it's not 100% horror, but it's horror enough, you know, so.
Yeah, you got American Horror Story, Strain, Walking Dead, The Exorcist, Bates Motel wrapped up recently.
Yeah, do you have Scream still on, I think?
Scream,
right?
Yeah, it's and even going into kind of the not direct horror, but you've got stuff like Riverdale, Teen Wolf, those kind of the shows that are kind of tangentially a little bit kind of supernaturally horror related. So yeah, it's a really good time to be a horror fan, and it's going to be interesting to see how the box office continues. Is this a fluke, or is this a trend we're going to see for some time now? And you know, and even with the success of Happy Death Day, are we seeing some kind of, like what I was hoping for, some rejuvenation of the slasher genre? Because this movie, and I'll get into it in my review, reminded me a lot of 90s horror films.
Right, which is it was not a bad thing, because Like, yeah, like, I mean, like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. All those were really fun to watch. I mean, yeah, were they true gore fests? No, but they don't need to be necessarily to make a fun horror film.
Right. So, I mean, I guess I'll go ahead and get into my impressions. I went to see this Monday while I had the day off, and I figured it was between this and Blade Runner. Mm-hmm. And as much as I probably should have seen Blade Runner in the theater, it's almost 3 hours long, and I was just... This was supposed to be my rest day.
Yeah, that's...
I just couldn't see myself sitting in a theater for 3.5 hours trying to concentrate.
Yeah, that's long. Those long movies are tough.
Yeah, Happy Death Day. If you saw the trailer, which was fantastic, you pretty much know the tone of the movie. It's got some humor mixed in with the horror. It almost has to for you to buy the concept, right? But it, like I said, it reminded me a lot of the old 90s slasher films where, the lovable secondary characters, the kind of contrived plots at times. It kind of has that same kind of feel. And but it was really entertaining. I really enjoyed it. If I had any criticisms, is probably that the PG-13 rating hurts it quite a bit because the death scenes and stuff are almost non-existent. They're almost off-screen or heavily edited for a PG-13 audience. So for a movie about a girl dying over and over, I would have expected maybe some Final Destination style gore and death scenes, which this movie didn't take advantage of.
That's a shame because those deaths were great in Final Destination. That was it's almost like a character in itself. What death was the character, but the type of deaths were almost a character.
Yeah, I think that's where they really missed the most opportunity with this movie. But that said, it's still a very entertaining film. I think horror fans, especially ones that kind of grew up on that 90s horror, will really dig it. And it really is like a perfect date movie, if I had to describe it. I know sometimes we talk about those in a derogatory way, but in this case, I'm kind of using it as a compliment. It's just a fun little get out and see it movie, be entertained for 2 hours, come back home. It's not gonna rock your world like It Follows or Get Out or any of those. But it's a solid entry, and the weekend box office proved that people respond to that. So
yeah,
good for them.
It got Tim out of his house.
Yeah, it got me out of the house.
After a long weekend when he probably should have stayed and relaxed in his house, but he got up and went and saw it.
For you, the loyal listeners,
right.
And the Horror Movie Challenge, because I put it on my Horror Movie Challenge because it has a guy in there named Creepy Tim.
Creepy Tim, no less. That's great.
Yeah, I had to do. I did cheat a little bit. I shuffled some around because I'd already done Dead Time stories for my Tim and Brian.
Well, we said we didn't have very strict rules for this.
No, you could shuffle them around.
I did. Remember, what did I... Oh, I switched the one... I had one I was anticipating to be my haunt one, and then when there was a character named Tim in it, also, I changed it.
Yeah, exactly. So you do what you got to do to complete the challenge.
Right, which I'm behind. Yeah, I'm behind. I need to catch up.
Let's talk about that. It's a little bit further in the rundown, but since we're on this subject, it's a good segue. I watched a couple of them for my challenge. For the anthology, since I had switched Dead Time stories around, I watched Asylum from 1972. And this one was cool because it's written by Robert Bloch, the great Robert Bloch, who's written a ton of horror short stories, and a lot of these anthologies he's written. But I really like the wraparound for this one because they're all characters from an insane asylum that are currently institutionalized, and a doctor comes in and is interviewing them, and they're telling him their story of how they got there, and that's your 3 stories in the anthology, which I thought was cool. I thought that was a pretty cool wraparound, and I used it for my Anything You Can Do Icon Do Better challenge because it has Peter Cushing in it. But this is I figured it counted because he's obviously a horror icon,
right? But
he's not in an iconic role. He's not playing, Dr. Frankenstein or any of the other roles he's known for, and it's not a Hammer film either. So I thought that was I thought that fit. He's not. Nobody says, "Oh, Peter Cushing, that's the guy from Asylum."
Yeah, no, and you definitely would not. At least I know for sure, Peter Cushing would not be my first choice for that movie, Asylum. I would probably go to obviously Grand Moff Tarkin for me anyway, even though it's not horror. But
yeah.
But it's funny, you made me think of something too. It's like when you said a great wraparound. Maybe a cool idea for a movie, an anthology, just literally just a wraparound. Just keep wraparound after wraparound and be like a horror comedy, It'd be kind of fun.
Oh, that's our other Kickstarter. Oh, it was up to 52
Something
now?
like that. I think we came
Something
up with
like
a few on the trip, too. Why not?
Yeah. But the other one I watched was 2004, I believe, was Incident at Loch Ness, because I did this one for my the one based on a cryptozoological creature. Loch Ness Monster has always been my favorite cryptid.
Well, that was appropriate for this week.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think
See,
about that, Brian.
You rode a Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, I rode the Loch Ness Monster at Busch Gardens,
Yes.
but I didn't even think about that. Yeah, but Loch Ness Monster has always been my favorite cryptid. I forget Bigfoot, forget Yetis and ghosts, and all. I love the Loch Ness Monster mythology, and always been obsessed with it, even since I was a little kid. And so I found out about this one, and it is a mockumentary, and it's a strange one. It's Werner Herzog, who I love. He's the director that did Grizzly Man. He's done a lot of that's one of many, many, many films he's done. A very highly respected director. But he did this mockumentary in which he's out to film a fictional Nessie documentary. And there's another documentary crew filming him for a Werner Herzog documentary.
This sounds familiar. I wonder if I've seen this.
You may have seen this, and there was pieces of it that I thought felt familiar.
Like I want
but
to say
since
like on HBO or something years ago.
It might have been, yeah. And I didn't remember enough of it. I figured it would count for the one I had not seen.
Oh yeah, I say that if you don't remember seeing it and you watch it again, that counts to me as you're watching again, because obviously either you saw it so many years ago and just so that's okay.
But I it was interesting. It's definitely fairly heavy-handed on the humor aspect because, like I said, it is a mockumentary.
Right.
But it does have some horror elements, and it's still listed with a horror genre tag on IMDb, so I counted it.
Yeah. And that's like we say, kind of going with that thing where we might have seen it. Like I was telling you this earlier. I part of me thinks I may have seen Nosferatu, but I'm watching it for my Silver Screams one. Because it's, I'm almost, I had to stop, unfortunately, because I ran out of time. I have like about 10 minutes left of it. But yeah, so I was like, I want to say I might have seen it, but I don't remember it enough. So I'm counting that as a new credit, so to speak. And I only got to watch one other. Hopefully catch up in the next couple of days. And I'm watching for my anthology one. I tried to pick like something really obscure this time. So I picked this one called No Sleep Anthology of Horror that I found on Amazon. I think it's bare. I thought it was like a full length, but I think it's only like 50 something minutes long, and it's the same director, but he does I think there's maybe like 15, 16 short films attached. So it's weird in an anthology. There's not really a wraparound or anything, but it's definitely anthology style. It's multiple stories. So there's a couple of good ones, couple of ones that I don't quite make sense, but I tell you, there are at least two there that were super creepy. And it's funny. The one review I saw that cracked me up is they said, "Wow, that'd be great, but it seems like we've come into each story midway through, so I don't know what's going on." And I see what they mean by that, but I don't think it's that you come in midway. I think literally it's the guy's just trying to give you what needs to be said, use a lot of like, well, and I looked at it, like, it really doesn't matter how the person got to this place. Like, where it starts is fine for an anthology film and a short film collection. I think people are just used to having more of a narrative. But yeah, so that's all I got so far, but hopefully by the end of the weekend, next episode, I'll have a bunch more to catch up on, because I'm only about 6 or 7 behind day to date, so hopefully I'll catch up.
Yeah, I think I'm right at day to date right now, so I'm gonna try to pad a little bit.
Yeah, well, you had your nice Monday off that I didn't get.
Yeah, that helped. I think I got 3 knocked out on Monday. The other one I watched, which I haven't been able to find a way to fit this into my list. There was one entry I was telling Brian about. I could maybe make it stretch, but I don't really want to do that. It's the Babysitter, which just debuted on Netflix, and Netflix, like with Little Evil, for some reason they've been putting out these like Netflix originals dark horror comedies lately. I don't know why, but this one was, in my mind, was far superior to Little Evil. This one was pretty fantastic.
Oh, cool.
It was directed by McG, who you may know of some other.
Yeah,
I think he did Charlie's Angels and that. Yeah, and it's kind of got that same style. It's very heavy on the humor, but also very heavy on the horror, which is what I like in a horror comedy. Like if you're gonna put a lot of laughs in there, you better put some gore in there too. And this one delivers on all fronts. It's about this little kid, kind of as he self-described pussy,
Yeah.
if I may use the word.
Explicit tag.
But
in effect.
explicit tag. But anyway, yeah, he's just kind of this little beat up nerd guy, and he
Little beat up nerd guy.
little beat up nerd guy. I kind of sympathize. I was that guy too. So, but he ends up landing this really hot babysitter, like smoking hot babysitter.
That's like the fantasy, when you were a kid.
Yeah, and they play on that a lot too. But it's really a coming of age story, and I kind of compared it to if maybe Home Alone and Kill Bill and a horror movie all got thrown in a blender, you might get something that looks like this. It's insane.
So like when the kid like slaps his hands across his face like Macaulay Culkin does, his eyeball shoots out of his head.
I wouldn't put it past this movie. Just go watch it.
Oh,
it's
I know.
insane.
I want to see
It's
this.
a delight.
Yeah, no,
It's a
I
delight.
plan to see this too. But I think one of the reasons why I held off is for your reason. It's like I'm like, all right, I have hard enough time trying to get these movies in for the challenge. I don't know if I can get a throwaway one in there right now. Although,
Yeah.
sorry, speaking of throwaway ones, the next one is anything but, except it really doesn't fit into our challenge either.
Right.
But it has to be mentioned because as our good friend Paul had sent me this thing and asked if I saw this. He said, "Did you see the Friday the 13th fan fiction film Don't Hike Alone?" And I think I may have seen it in passing mention, but I kind of dismissed it because I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. But he said he told me, he's like, yeah, I watched a bunch of it and it's really good. So I'm like, oh, okay, let me give it a shot. And it's funny, when Tim and I were discussing this right before we started to record, we both kind of said the same thing. We're like, well, we'll watch a little of it and then probably watch the rest later. Well, it's not that long, but I could not stop watching it. It was that good.
It's about 50 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely watchable in a sitting. It's not like it's Blade Runner. Yeah, no.
I almost spit drink it right into
Sorry,
my mouth.
but yeah, no, it's really and I don't know what it is. It does nothing super special. I mean, it's like just kind of like it's. I mean, I obviously don't want to give away much about the plot other than that it's a fan fiction Friday the 13th. So you're gonna see Jason, obviously, but it's done in a style that's almost like if they didn't sell it as Friday the 13th fan fiction, you'd be like blown away when like all of a sudden he appears, because it does not seem like a typical Friday the 13th at all. One, it's pretty much one character based, and it's a man, not a woman.
And it's technically found footage.
Yeah, it's kind of found footage, but I don't think it's found footage enough to count it as a found footage film, unfortunately. I was thinking that, but it'd be kind of a cheat because there are a lot of just regular scenes that they show. But
Yeah.
they did manage, did you notice they did manage to fit in the boobs, though? He finds a Playboy and he opens it up. So you do actually see boobs for a second. So
Yeah, that's true.
they got part of that, the typical Friday the 13th lore in there. But yeah, it's basically just about this guy. He goes to hike on a trail and he wanders across upon the old abandoned Crystal Lake, which was kind of under the guise of, what was it, some preserve they were calling it.
Right.
And
right.
yeah, and you find out that he's always interested in it because his brother used to tell him stories of it. So he decides to investigate the camp, and like anyone that visits the camp, Jason doesn't like that very much. So, but it is. Let me tell you, if there's, I know this, we don't usually do a pick of the week in the first shop, but this would be my pick of the week. You gotta see this thing.
Yeah, it's really cool if you're a Friday the 13th fan.
Yeah, and I want to find out more about it, like find a little history of the guy that did it, and because it's just like this guy obviously is a big fan of Friday the 13th, and he knew what to, like, even in this short little 50-minute thing, he probably has you could arguably say some of the best Friday the 13th moments in certain film in the whole
and
series.
Some great little Easter eggs in there too.
Oh, yes, plenty of Easter eggs, which we will let you guys discover on yourselves. But yeah, so check that out. It's called Don't Hike Alone. It's on YouTube. I posted the link on our Facebook page, so you probably have already seen it by the time this episode drops. So, but if not, you can easily scroll back and go check this out, because this is definitely an awesome, awesome short fan fiction film.
And speaking of big horror villains,
Oh yes, so Freddy now is the newest edition coming to Dead by Daylight, which just added Michael Myers and Leatherface. So between this game and the Friday the 13th game, you pretty much can reenact Civil Gore Summer Slaycation. You get all four.
Yeah, exactly.
But think of that. How great is that? You could literally pop on your Xbox One or PlayStation 4, and I think they're all on Steam too. So you could literally play arguably the 4 biggest horror icons out there in a game.
That's pretty cool.
Which is awesome.
I think I've got to try this game.
Yeah,
I can't believe I haven't tried it.
I know,
yet.
I haven't either, but I did purchase a points card for Xbox that'll get me enough to download the game and the additional content for those. So, Tim, I'd say we definitely fire that up one day. We got to do that, at least for the podcast. I mean, God forbid we should get enjoyment out of it. That's just bonus. But, we need to do it at least for the podcast, right?
I can write it off as a business expense.
Right, yeah. So no one can get mad at us for spending that money on that. Because, and it just looks cool. And supposedly it's like a story-based thing. So it's like, so I mean, I don't know much about the game other than it's like, I think 3 people play as the victims and 1 is the killer. So, I mean, we got 4 right there. Jumi, Cone, and Ken, right?
Yeah,
we got the 4. And and while I'm on the topic, we actually Cone, Ken, and I think you were the night of your dad's horror party, so I didn't bother to text you on this, obviously, because I knew you wouldn't play. But I happened to just go on to because double points weekend for Friday the 13th, and I wanted to check out the new map and Jason and stuff. And so right when I went on there, Ken popped on a little bit, and then we grabbed Cone, so we played a little round of it. And I'll tell you, the Jarvis map is awesome, by the way. You can literally, when you go into the Jarvis house, you can go into Tommy's room, and all the masks are there. His old computer is set up.
Oh, cool. I'll have to see that.
Oh my God, it looks identical. It even has the basement, where they went down, and the guest house is in there, and the coolest thing is when you actually get the rain effects or come at random, so they come on any map. But when they're on we actually got lucky. We hit the trifecta. We got the rain, the Jarvis map, and the new Jason someone was playing. We were playing.
Oh, cool.
So we literally got the movie, and it's great because it has the Friday the 13th 4 theme plays through it. Final chapter theme, that little bit of play. So it has that, but the rain effects are amazing because like you'll sit there and literally, how you can scroll from the outside view if you're just watching the game after you've died already. So you can like literally move the camera in and out, and it's like it looks like just like that move in the movie where it's you hear, but then you move in the thing and it's silent, and there's silent. So it's I'm probably not describing it the well as I can, but yeah, the rain effects were great. It even like you could see Jason's attire get sopping wet, and
that's cool.
It is. They did a fantastic job, and the server seemed to we had a little trouble getting on, but we think it may have been just it was actually a total server glitch, so they actually extended the double points weekend for another day. But definitely gotta those players of the games definitely get back to playing that and just try out those new maps and rain effects because it is really cool. And that new counselor in there from part 3, the hippie guy, he's in there.
Yeah,
so it's kind of fun to watch him run around.
Well, what's this you had about Trent Reznor?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you saw this. So on Friday the 13th, we were obviously preoccupied at HOWL-O-SCREAM, so I didn't notice this, actually. It was until I think I was on my drive back. I stopped at a rest stop, and I happened to check my phone, and I saw it pop up, so I downloaded it. He did an 8-minute cover of the Halloween theme. And
wow,
it's really cool, and he adds a lot of creepiness to it, and it's really like a haunting type effect. So I don't know. I didn't even know if it was in the works, but he just randomly released that on Friday the 13th. I mean, maybe we just missed it that he was planning it, but either way, so definitely you can download it on iTunes. It's really cool. So,
and I think I did read, kind of tying into that John Carpenter has confirmed he's doing the score for the new Halloween.
Yeah, which is kind of even funnier that this came released at this time because you're thinking, oh, maybe he's going to do the theme for the new movie. Nope, it's John Carpenter himself.
Somehow these rundowns have been just segueing right into each other because I have my October project that I'm getting back into is Halloween themed paper models. So I don't know if any of you know this is a thing. Some of you may, but and I've tried them in the past. But there is quite a sizable hobby or resource online for people that do really high quality paper models. And if you don't know what a paper model is, it's basically a model that you can assemble that you just print out on your printer. Usually use like some heavy cardstock, And if you have a good color printer, you print out the parts, you cut them out, you glue it all together, you fold it, you do all that kind of stuff, and you can build these pretty decent and sturdy paper models. And I'm going to link 2 resources in the show notes. The first one is ravensblight.com, and they release just generic. And when I say generic, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean they're just non-IP related horror paper models, and they have all kinds of cool stuff. They got little mini monsters, they have pirate ships, they have ghost semi rigs like from Maximum Overdrive. They've got haunted houses galore, haunted mansions, lighthouses, all kinds of just creepy cool papercraft models you can do. So that's one resource. The other one, the one I want to tackle, is from Haunted Dimensions, and they actually have a replica of the Michael Myers house from the original Halloween. So that's the one I'm going to build next. I already ordered ink from our printer. I've already ordered cardstock, so I'm ready to go.
Now, how big is this thing? Is it big?
It's not that big. I mean, it comes in a PDF basically, and these are free, by the way. These are all free. It comes in a PDF, so every page you print is just 8.5 by 11 for the parts. And when you assemble it, it's probably going to be, maybe 6 to 8 inches wide and deep. Because
I have this image of you walking around like Patricia Arquette in Dream Warriors, where she's got like this big house on a board, and she's wandering around, and then she puts it down, and like she gets warped into it.
No, I don't think it's that big. I don't think it's like architecturally modeled that big. But I'm hoping it's small enough to fit up on my shelf and it has the dimensions. I just don't remember off the top of my head. I tried to do the Haunted Mansion one a while back. There's a awesome Haunted Mansion model on this Haunted Dimensions page. And I mean, it took a long time. I never did finish it, unfortunately, I hate to say. And I don't usually quit projects.
I was going to say, Tim's stopping a project?
Yeah, I'm not. Wow. I'm not known for quitting projects, but this one was beyond my skill.
Yeah, Tim is known for adding more projects, but he never quits them.
So this one, the Haunted Mansion one, I would suggest you not tackle as your first one because it was too advanced for me. But I'm hoping I'm hoping the Haddonfield house will be a little easier and I can kind of ease into them.
So now you don't use regular paper, I assume, right? It's like some kind of heavier cardstock, I guess you said.
Yeah, the guy recommends Epson. It doesn't really matter the brand, I don't think, but he recommends like 44-pound cardstock.
Oh, okay.
So it's light enough you can get it through a printer, but it's heavy enough that it's sturdy to cut and to crease and to fold. And I'm talking, I mean, these things they're not like kid models. These are intricate. You really need an X-Acto knife versus scissors to cut these things out. Normal white glue to assemble them, but they get complex. I mean, the Haunted Mansion one was very, very, very detailed, and they look great because you're printing textures and brick and wood, right onto the paper. So from a distance, it looks very convincing. Actually,
that's really cool.
Yeah, so I will post project updates to Instagram as I go through.
Oh yeah, I gotta do this, especially because it's free. But thing is, I know if I print it out, I'll probably just print them out and then probably not assemble them till we move, because right now we're trying to like downsize stuff. So I have a feeling if I add one more thing that we have to now sometime get over to the new place, I'll be living in this little paper house because Julie's already trying to figure out how we're getting some stuff over or to storage. So last thing I need is a little paper house.
I actually do have paper models of all the Ghostbusters and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man that I assembled.
Oh, nice.
Now these were kind of simple. They're like the blockhead type, kind of big head, funny ones.
Oh yeah, okay. Like that Slay Away Camp character.
yeah, but they're pretty cool. So that's gonna be my big October project.
Nice.
So let's get right into our dismemberment. We got all kinds of weird stuff this week. I was expecting for this close to Halloween that we'd be getting some like big name stuff, but instead, I mean, it's kind of a treat for those that like kind of the more obscure older horror that maybe hasn't even seen video release yet, as we'll find out.
Yeah, so. And it looks like it was we should sponsor the Dismemberment by Vinegar Syndrome.
Yeah, they just flooded this week with their releases.
Seriously,
so.
Wow.
I don't have any discs by this company. I'm gonna have to.
I don't
try
either,
one
but
out
now
sometime.
I think we're gonna eventually have one because I think they're gonna release everything under this moniker.
So let's get right into our discmemberment.
Wait, no, please, God, no, don't cut off my...
Okay, so these are the Blu-ray releases for October 24th. First up, from Vinegar Syndrome, we have A Woman's Torment, 1977, which just... I was about to make a bad Weinstein joke.
I purposely did not read these. I skimmed through the titles to see if there's anything I recognized, to see if I could do a pick of the week. But I decided I'm going to do my pick of the week on the fly, and so I didn't look at these. So I just literally looked at this description, and I'll let Tim read this. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, what the F for this title?
Okay, so this was from 1977. A mentally deranged young woman starts hallucinating, gets involved in lesbianism and murder.
Yeah, so here's my take on this. It's now, did she hallucinate all this, or did she, that's what I'm confused at. Like, so she starts hallucinating. So is her hallucinations getting involved with lesbianism and murder, or is that an addition to getting involved with lesbianism and murder? She's hallucinating also. It's like,
I don't like how they imply that lesbianism requires you to be mentally deranged.
Right, like that's another thing. It's like did they I mean, I get it. Okay, because I guess she's in some kind of facility, I would think. But yeah, it just seems like usually hallucinations are usually
Apparently, it's a facility with very loose security.
Yeah, this would be interesting. Yeah, be funny. It's so funny. It includes the X-rated and R-rated cut. So obviously,
yeah, I was about to say. So there's a new 2K restoration, but what should perk you up is the X-rated cut, which is included.
Yeah, so I mean, it depends on how much, I guess, deranged lesbianism hallucinations do you want. You can either get a lot of it or just the run of the mill.
You want to see this, Brian. You want to see.
I'm not gonna lie, I might.
More up from our friends at Vinegar Syndrome, we have Blood Beat from 1983.
Is this a musical?
No, because it has to do with a woman who lives in deer hunting country in rural Wisconsin. I don't know why this is a detail that they needed to put in there, but she is possessed by the spirit of a Japanese samurai warrior.
So is that where these spirits are going? They're heading all the way to deer hunting country in rural Wisconsin?
I thought all of Wisconsin was deer hunting country.
Yeah, I think it is. I think isn't it like Wisconsin? It's with cheese and deer hunting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I like that how that's a detail. They couldn't just say a woman who lives in Wisconsin.
No, they had to say deer hunting country in rural.
No. I mean the deer hunting country part of it. If you're gonna say deer hunting country, that means to be like in, New York, because he lives in New York. New York City? No, deer hunting country, New York.
Yeah, you know that upstate New York. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's this kind of but Vinegar Syndrome is they really have an amalgam of things going on in each of their films so far.
I think it could be my new favorite company.
I know. We may have to do a Vinegar Syndrome centric episode just of all Vinegar Syndrome reviews, Maybe we'll do the Vinegar Syndrome Horror Challenge for next year.
Yeah. The next one up from Vinegar Syndrome. Demon Wind, 1990. New 2K restoration and interviews included as extras. With the need to investigate the mysterious death of his grandparents, Corey and his friends assemble back to the old farm where it all began 60 years earlier.
Okay, I have two comments. One, is Corey and his friends Topanga and Sean? And two, spoiler alert, their grandparents, they're old. Mystery solved.
Yeah, they died of old age.
Yeah, no, I don't know much about this, but they could be grandparents.
They are going back to an old farm, so
that's true.
I wonder if it was the candy corn scarecrow.
Oh, it is. He hasn't been seen since that last movie, so we don't. I love how it says where it all began 60 years early, so I guess it's implying 60. His grandparents are 60?
That's why I also didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, it began 60 years early. I mean, his grandparents died 60 years ago, then he couldn't be born, right? Or could he? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's too late for math, but let's put it this way. It's it's obviously if if the grandparents died 60 years ago, then why is that so mysterious to him? He probably didn't know about it. So, yeah.
I don't know, but he feels the need.
Yeah. And actually, the funny thing is, now you're looking at the title Demon Wind. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. What the heck? I mean, where's that come in?
We're going to skip tracks for a minute, not jump off the Vinegar Syndrome train.
Yeah.
But this one sounds like it could have come right from them.
Yeah.
It's called Night Angel from 1990. An evil spirit assumes the disguise of a beautiful young woman so it can seduce and kill men.
I think she's. I was gonna say if this was Vinegar Syndrome, I would say it would be in the same universe as the Woman's Torment, but as far as it's from Kino or Kino, I guess I don't
know. I said Kino.
Yeah, it looks like Kino. But it says a evil spirit. Yeah, evil spirit assumes that this guy. We have how many times have we seen that? Really, I mean,
does that to me it looks like something that used to be on Cinemax.
Yeah, there's that.
Sounds like something.
Angel and Avenging Angel. There's those movies. I don't think it's part of that series, but yeah. I mean, anytime you just throw an angel and put something in front of it, you have the same.
Seduce and kill men.
Yeah, it's always the same thing. It's like. It's like the Dark Angel or what's that? What was the Jessica Alba series? Was that Dark Angel?
Yeah, right, Dark Angel. So, yeah, I think this is a softcore Skinamax production.
I think it is, but I'll tell you what, I'll bite the bullet. I'll check it out to see if what's in there.
Well, speaking of that, how about Night School from 1981?
Is this the prequel to Night Angel or just?
I don't know. I thought it was. Yeah, I was wondering if it had any relation to Back to School.
Oh, can you imagine?
I come out of the Warner Archive and I'm decapitating innocent girls.
Where's EB?
No respect, I tell you.
We need EB. Where's EB to do that voice for us?
This one's interesting though because this was almost my pick of the week, and I'll tell you why. This is the first time this movie, or so I've been told, this is the first time this movie has ever been released in home video on any format.
Oh, and it is Warner Archives, and they're a good company when it comes to doing that stuff, where they basically like custom release these for you, right? Based on on the demand, I think, right? Like they don't just have them sitting around. Like I think you order it and then they burn it on a disc for you and then send it to you.
Yeah, it's a new 4K scan, too.
Oh, wow. So they're really up in their game. Because I remember it used to be like... I think I ordered one thing from them back in the day, and it was like, it looked like a regular DVD. You wouldn't know it was something like custom burned or whatever.
Yeah.
But it looked, it was like normal quality. So that's good. They're stepping up into the 4K game.
Yeah, this is interesting. So the summary is, who's been decapitating the innocent girls at a local night school? The police are baffled.
That's it. No more after that.
You know what? Why does it have to be the innocent girls?
Yeah.
Even if you decapitated like the bad girls, isn't that still a bad thing?
Yeah, I mean, and in fact, that would make more sense in a horror film because it usually is the bad girls that get their heads chopped off. So yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that one seems interesting just because it hasn't been on any home video format. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, no, that might be something interesting to. And that's the thing. It's like obviously that's one where you might have to just order it because I don't think it's gonna appear on a Shudder or anything like that.
The next is our pals at Vinegar Syndrome release a double feature.
Oh, I thought this was like one of those AKA.
No, this is a double feature. This is Prime Evil and Lurkers from 1988, and they both have new 2K restorations and audio commentary and trailers and all kinds of good stuff. Prime Evil is about a coven of devil-worshipping monks. I almost read that as monkeys. Can you imagine devil-worshipping monkeys?
Yeah, that'd be Kickstarter.
A coven of devil-worshipping monks living in New York City search for victims of their sacrificial ceremonies.
I think I might have seen these people. They hang around Times Square sometimes after 2 a.m. I'm pretty sure. They're very quiet folk, and they kind of stay in the corner, but yeah.
And then our Lurkers is about a woman haunted by flashbacks of her dead mother and visions of dead people floating.
Is that like the Mother's Canasta group, like floating with them or something? Why
I just all I could think was
visions of dead people? Yeah.
What is Pennywise? This is like a Pennywise prequel.
It is, yeah, because that's right. They're floating. Everyone floats down in Vinegar Syndrome,
They all float down. Yeah. Now this one has the best title of the week,
easily.
Another Vinegar Syndrome from 1972, The Corpse Grinders. When the Lotus Cat Food Company finds itself in financial trouble, the owners decide to find a new cheap source of meat, the local graveyard. Only one problem. Soon, cats develop a taste for human flesh, and tabbies are tearing out throats all over town.
I gotta tell you, this one sounds like it'd be a really fun movie to watch.
Because usually we're the ones making meat out of cats.
Right. It's like the reverse. They
It's like the reverse.
fooled us, Jerry. Yeah, no, they flipped it around. That's actually a really cool like gimmicky thing like that. I like that though. It's kind of got like a blood diner, like Audrey 2 kind of thing going on there. That's kind of cool.
And you know, I can believe cats would eat me if they had a chance.
I do know cats try and eat podcasts. Found that out the hard way.
Yeah. That brings us to my pick of the week, which is actually I think is a pretty cool one. This is by the Cohen Media Group.
Not Steve Cohen. Not Steve
No,
Cohen.
not Steve Cohen.
This is Cohen.
But this is The Old Dark House from 1932. This is a Boris Karloff classic.
Oh, this has got Tim all over it, yeah.
Yeah, new 4K restoration, 2 audio commentaries, and interviews. Seeking shelter from a storm, 5 travelers are in for a bizarre and terrifying night when they stumble upon the Fem family estate.
Almost reminds me a little bit of what's that one you have? Dark of Night or no?
Dead of Night.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's why this was my pick of the week. I absolutely love when these really old, and I'm not talking 60s and 70s, I'm talking like older films, pre-50s, get these deluxe treatments, because I just think it's so important that we keep these movies in the public eye, if you will.
Right.
I love the fact that they're doing these meticulous restorations on these. I love that there's film critics commentating on these and putting down commentary tracks. And I don't know, to me, it just keeps these films alive.
Yeah.
And I'm just a big supporter of any time they put out these really nice releases of these really old movies. So this is one I'm definitely going to get.
Yeah, and it's something what you said about the old movies. We talked about this one time. How you say you love to watch the old movie, and it really there's something about like an old black and white horror film. It's almost like I know it's going to sound weird, but one of my friends, we were talking about this. We had this class in when we went in college. It was called Rock Since the 60s. It was in San Francisco State. And basically we went over these we went over through history of rock, obviously. But the classroom was auditorium style, but the main desk where the professor was there basically opened up, and he had a turntable, and he'd play all old records on albums. And albums, the old, you're so used to hearing CDs and crystal clear quality. There's something about the warmth of a fuzzy sounding record playing classic music, and I kind of get the same thing when I watch like an old classic horror movie, like black and white. It doesn't have to be black and white, but in one of those old style there's like this extra warmth to it, because it's almost not modified with high tech effects. It's like just real filming, Mm-hmm. And I think that's what that's what I kind of like about it. And so like this one, I'm not going to make it my pick of the week just to be different right now, but I mean, I could definitely see why this would be an excellent pick of the week, because even if you've never heard of this film or ever see it, you can probably get some kind of enjoyment out of it, just because it's something you probably never seen or possibly you don't have any knowledge of.
Right, and this is a great movie too. On top of it, James Whale directed. Great Frankenstein director. So I mean, and with Boris Karloff in it, it's a no-brainer. This is just a classic. So definitely good choice for pick of the week. The last one up is from Garage House Pictures. This is called Web of the Spider from 1971, and it's got another new 4K uncut transfer and commentary. This one sounds really, really cool, I'm going to have to say.
Yeah, I think this is the one I was leaning towards pick of the week, just because of the plot to it. Sounds really cool.
Sounds really cool. The journalist Alan Foster makes a bet that he can spend one night at the haunted Blackwood Castle. As he learns, the rumors of ghosts at the castle are indeed true. On All Souls' Eve, the ghosts of the castle search for blood to tide them over for another year. In the castle, Foster meets and falls in love with Elizabeth Blackwood.
See, I can already tell this, obviously this is going to be with some kind of twist to it. And I like it because if you notice, you ever see those movies where there's always a bet made in it? always someone, even the winner, seems to somehow suffer. Almost more than the I've seen the winner suffer more than the loser in some of these things. Like there was that Twilight Zone where the guy bet that he couldn't speak, he wouldn't talk for 24
Yeah.
hours, and he cuts his tongue out, and the guy he was going to get $1 million. He found out the guy was broke because he never figured he would do it. And there was, and it almost kind of reminds me also of like almost like a horror version of Around the World in 80 Days. I like those movies where there's stakes involved, because there's always some kind of cool twist or something to it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna make this my pick of the week, even though I've never heard of this film until now. But just the plot sounds really cool, and I think if it would definitely be one on this list that I would if I had a choice, it would be one of my top picks to watch. So that's why I'm gonna make this one my pick of the week.
Yeah, so good. I mean, if you're a 70s horror fan, this was a fantastic week, and I think there's some really cool releases on here that I think it's a little something for everybody, especially if you like those older films.
Yeah, I mean, I know we like to have fun with this section, but it's more because it is fun to just talk about it. We're not disparaging these movies in any way, because a lot of them we haven't seen. Actually, the more we make fun of it, is probably the less we've heard of it, which is what's great.
Right.
So, but it's like I actually enjoy this section a lot, because it's kind of fun, because you never know what you could discover in here. And like these, if I saw these on like a list of movies I could choose from, like online or something to download, or like at a hotel or something, I'd probably be torn to figure out which one I'd pick first.
We do have one theatrical release for today, October 20th, or whenever you hear this episode. But it's not really horror; it's more thriller. But I put it on here because the trailer's pretty spooky, and my wife really wants to go see it.
They definitely have a horror slant in the trailer. Whether there's another could be a side effect to the recent craze of horror. That why this movie may not be in horror in the traditional sense. They're going to capture the excitement of the horror movies coming out now, and maybe kind of make it look like you're going to see a horror movie.
Yeah, so this one's called The Snowman. It's based on a novel, and it's starring Michael Fassbender, which I loved in Prometheus.
What is he? Yeah, he's one of the greatest
Covenant.
actors right now. So
yeah, I just absolutely love him. So my wife's really excited about this. She loves the serial killer genre and the true crime genre and stuff. So that'll be one we'll probably try to go catch this weekend. But speaking of weekends, boy, did we have one.
Oh God, yeah. It blew by. And it's it was one of these things where we always hear us talk about our group of coaster friends, and just give another. I mean, I know we're not going to play the audio from when we did the live recording just because of the quality, but just give a shout out to everyone, because they really are like some of the most awesome people you will ever meet. I mean, it's like that we've only really, most of us have only met within the last 2 years, some even less, like with a year or less. And it's like, but you don't feel that way every time we hang out with this group of people. It feels like we've known them all our lives. And that's obviously one of the major testaments, obviously, to Mike and EB from Coaster Radio, who basically were the impetus for us all getting together at that first meetup. So yeah, this is something we love to do, and it's especially this is the second year in a row we did a Halloween event from this. So which obviously is right up me and Tim's alley. So this was a fun thing that we could all go and like kind of like it was like the convergence of podcasts. I mean, we had four podcasts there at really technically if you want to count 5 if when Clint Novak showed up for In the Loop. So basically I had 4 coaster podcasts and 1 horror podcast. We were like the one of these things are not like the other, but it was great because we had Theme Park Families, Ride This One, Coaster Radio, In the Loop.
And In the Loop, yeah.
So
yeah, and as much as I would love to talk about the coaster side of it, which was incredible, we got some really cool rides on all the roller coasters at Busch Gardens.
Right.
For this podcast,
yes.
We have to discuss Busch Gardens HOWL-O-SCREAM, which I was greatly looking forward to.
Right. Which, yeah, unfortunately, we have to do the precedent. I know we said that we were going to record a ton of audio and video and stuff, but the weather just did not want to cooperate with Tim and I.
The forecast up there had called for like some, scattered showers, maybe 30% chance of rain. It ended up literally this weird drizzly mist.
Yeah.
Hung over the area literally all day long. I'm talking about from probably 10 or 11 that morning until we left at 11 that night.
Yeah, and it was just that annoying, frustrating rain where it wasn't enough. Like the rides were operating, and I mean, the one thing that suffered, it seemed like a lot of the outdoor like scare zones, they like to call it, were not there. There was not.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff because I had been there a couple weeks before, as I had mentioned. A lot of stuff was missing because of the way it was. Like that whole bridge we walk across. You know, Tim, we walk back and forth.
Yeah.
With the covered bridge, that was usually lit up in a spooky glow and ton of smoke and fog effects, which they just couldn't do because of the rain, the way it was. So I think there was a lot less scare actors out there, and it kind of really played a lot to problems with the outdoor haunts. Especially, in fact, we had went through one, and then about 10 minutes later, our good friends Mike and Izzy went to go experience the haunt, and it got flooded, so they couldn't actually go to it. It got so much water buildup that they basically deemed it flooded and closed the haunt.
Yeah, and it was kind of frustrating because I'd heard so many good things about HOWL-O-SCREAM that I was really looking forward to it, because it's my first big theme park haunt that was not a Cedar Fair haunt. And so I was kind of disappointed that I really didn't get to see it in its best light. And so that's why I hesitate to really give it an accurate review, because I think if I went on any other weekend where the weather was nice, I probably would have enjoyed it much, much more.
Right. The good news is we can go next year. It's not something that's that far away from either one of us that we can't do another weekend. And I'm totally up for it. Like I'm thinking, because Julie had so much fun when we went, that she was, when we were done, she was like, maybe we should get a season pass here. So yeah. I may be getting a season pass to Busch Gardens next year anyway, because it's just a great park to begin with. And when you do have a season pass, you actually get the preview night of the haunt on a Friday night, and that's when I went. Because there's also the media day, and it's pretty much every ride is a walk on. The crowds are not that bad, and but yet they had everything out in force, because it was basically a major dry run through of what was gonna be at the event. So get a lot of good things. And next year, I think if I went, I think I'd do one of these escape rooms maybe. Mm-hmm. That's something we probably should have done with the weather being so awkward. That might have been a nice twist, except it is an extra $30 at that point. And
yeah, but if you had it budgeted out, it'd be something cool to do. They had some horror themed escape rooms there. Right. I mean, the biggest casualty of the night though was we couldn't bring out all of our recording equipment.
Right.
In fact, I didn't really even take a lot of pictures during haunt because the weather was just so bad. I didn't even want to take my phone out in it.
And it was like the raindrops. It was funny. It seemed like the raindrops would literally hit the phone and start adding it would hit, if it hit hard enough on some raindrops where it started to type. I remember we grabbed Slater from Ride This One. He was getting so frustrated. He's like, "Here, you type this," because he couldn't. Yeah. Every time he tried to type, it was changing his text.
So yeah, we apologize for that, because I had hoped to have a lot more media and stuff out there, but man, the weather was just not cooperating at all.
Yeah, it was not. It was obviously the Mother Nature. We must have insulted Mother Nature in one of our podcasts or something.
Yeah. But anyway, what I thought we would do is just kind of go through a brief overview of each house and kind of our rankings. And Brian, I don't think you did a ranking.
No, but I pretty much, I'm looking at your list, and I pretty much go in exactly that order, I think.
A caveat before I go through these rankings, because some of you may visit HOWL-O-SCREAM this year. Again, I'm judging these based on what I saw there this night, and like I said, they did not have as many scare actors out. I don't think even some of the houses, even the indoor houses, were populated like they were supposed to be.
Yeah, I think they just shortened the staff due to the rain and the prediction of crowds.
Right, so I think I was getting kind of a half effort, to say the least. So I'm kind of judging these more based on the theming and the decor and the potential I saw, and certainly those rankings might change if I'd gone back on a different night. So take that for what it's worth.
Number 7.
I'm going to start with from what I consider the worst to best of the houses. So coming in at number 7, because there were 7 houses, I had Lumberhack. Now this is the one you were just referring to about it's a completely outdoor haunt. with kind of a killer lumberjack theme with chainsaws and that kind of thing. But there was some cool elements to this one.
Yeah.
But man, we hit this in some bad weather. It was raining. There weren't many actors out at all. It was cool that it had some open areas,
Right, and
that you could kind of walk through.
Yeah, and it was like it allowed you to like basically like have almost a feeling you were wandering in the woods at one point. Like you basically, no matter which little path you went, you still ended up in the same spot. But it was just like all the fake trees set up. It was pretty cool. And this one was like weird too because it was really far off the park map. Like it felt like you were in a really weird area. Like if this queue was filled to capacity, I could see it easily being like a 2-hour wait. It was that long.
At least.
You just kept going and going, and I almost felt like we made a wrong turn. Like we ended up wandering around the backstage area to get to this thing. But that helped with the theme because obviously you felt much more abandoned out there. And yeah, and like Tim said, I think this one really, like, I mean, we put it last, and it's probably an unfair assessment for this one because I think in normal weather, this one may have been almost jumped up to one of the best. I think it had the potential to be one of the best.
Yeah, this one unfortunately was just a victim of the weather, and having to walk a mile back to it in the rain.
Yeah.
Also detracted from my mood towards it. So probably a little unfair in the ranking, but that's what it is for this one.
At least we didn't have to wait on the line because we did have the quick queue, which is good. We should say that. Yeah. So basically, another thing that helps with this is I like to recommend these things, and this is the best advice I can give for any haunt. Most of these houses, there's most of these haunt events, there's at least like 6 or 7 houses. You almost need some kind of quick queue or fast pass or whatever it's called in the individual parks because the haunts. Sometimes, I mean, you would literally get through maybe 2 of them if you don't at a regular busy haunt.
Even this night with the weather crappy and everything, some of the lines were still pretty substantial for some of these haunts.
And we kind of made it force. Like we ended up unfortunately splitting up with some of the group because that was the nature of the beast, because we, for the podcast we wanted, and we bought the quickie, we wanted to make sure that we hit every haunt. And we did it with about an hour to spare, but I mean, we realized we were kind of taking our time, and it also helped that 3 of the haunts happened to be literally boom, boom, boom right in a row. It was a perfect loop. We did it. We somehow magically did it in the perfect order, I think. Number 6.
Coming in at number 6 was our typical corn maze. I think every park has one of these, but
I like the name though, Cornered. That was kind of
fun.
This
one was called Cornered, and It was the typical corn maze that they build with the big hay bales and the corn stalks and that kind of thing. And again, this one suffered from being outside. This was the first or the second haunt we went to, and it was still drizzling rain. It was kind of miserable. And this one, I took points away from this one because it had way too many dead spaces in it, where there was just no actors and you were just walking through basically empty hallways.
Right. And see, that's another one where I think I don't think even though. I mean, I think it definitely suffered from the weather because they probably didn't have as many actors as they should have. But even then, these corn mazes to me are just like, like I like the way there was I want to say it might be Lake Compounds does it where they actually have just a small sequence in their major haunt with the corn maze because at some level it's like you can only do so much and they seem to be all the same to me. So I'm kind of over the whole corn maze haunt at these parks. Because I haven't seen anything done originally, so the shorter it is, the better. So to make an entire haunt corn maze, it's like, okay, you know what's coming. All right, obviously someone's going to come out of the corn, dressed as corn, or, dressed as, the grass. So it's like, I mean, to me, it's like, okay. And the only cool part, I think, was the end where it had that one of those moments. It seems like it's a Busch Gardens staple, where these almost like, I mean, for lack of a better word, like these free roam areas, where it's like you can just kind of go your own path.
Well, the only reason I gave this one a step above Lumber Hack was because a guy did actually get me in this one.
Oh, someone got you in, and I know Frostbite too, but this one I think I remember someone getting you, and I kind of...
Yeah, someone got me, so nobody scared me in Lumber Hack, so Cornered got the edge there.
Yeah, and it was not a candy corn scarecrow that got Tim.
No.
Number 5!
Coming in at number 5, we had Catacombs. Now, this one's far down on the list, not because of the theming, which I thought was really great. It had some good theming, but it was also probably the shortest of all the mazes.
That's right. This was that really short one that was like, it felt like it was like 3 minutes. We were done.
Yeah. And for a typical regional haunt like I've been to, it was probably standard length, but I got kind of spoiled because this is one of the last ones we went through in the night, and all the other haunts were so long.
Right.
I mean, they're really pretty lengthy for a regional park. So when this one kind of ended so abruptly, I kind of had to dock points off for it.
Yeah, I vaguely remember, but which was this the one that was under the water ride, or was this the one, or is that Deadline?
No, the Deadline was the one under the water
okay,
ride.
okay,
this one
okay.
this one was more towards the
Oh,
front.
that's right. Yeah.
It had some cool stuff. It had like a spider room, and it had
right.
kind of had a zombie feel, like the name implies, catacombs. So you
yeah,
felt
right.
like you were underground. Had some cool like wall texture effects and things. So I like the theming. There was nothing wrong with the theming, but again, gets points off for just being too short.
Right. Number 4.
And now we get to the kind of the upper tier of the haunts that I enjoyed. Coming in at number 4 was Deadline. This is the one under the Pompeii water ride.
Right.
And this one has kind of a weird theme. It's kind of all over the place, but it was kind of an industrial apocalypse kind of theme where you had like radiation symbols and Armageddon, graffiti on the walls and anarchy and zombies.
And this one used a lot of video screen effects.
Yeah, a lot of video screens. I remember there was that one sequence where you're in like a subway car.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it looks like zombies are coming in.
That
one was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And I liked, it was funny because when we were in there the first thing I said to Tim, I said, this is nothing to Tim. He just visited New York on the subway. So
yeah.
We know what this is.
Yeah,
like.
It had a really cool room where it was like electric voltage lines, zip,
right.
Zapping, and it had these strobe effects and things.
Yeah, this one I remember. The thing my main takeaway from this one, it wasn't so much any scares or people popping out at you. It was just visually impressive.
Right, yeah, that's why it's kind of in the middle of the pack. I really like the theming, but again, the scares weren't that high.
Right.
But it was cool. It was better than some of the other the similarly themed haunts I've seen.
Number 3.
And then coming at number 3 was kind of a weird one called Unearthed Scarlet's Revenge. And they're obviously trying to tell a story with this haunt, which I give them credit for, and that's why it kind of ranks so high up on the list. I don't quite know what that story was.
Yeah. I know there must have been more, and I'm wondering if this one was again because of it seemed like there was definitely a running theme of shortage of scare actors. So I'm wondering if there may have been, if there was like a full, like maybe if it was a Saturday night, busier day and better weather, that just overall this one may have been even better, even though it was indoors. But
yeah, this one had some cool scenes though. Like, it was one where the girl was like at a crystal ball, like a fortune teller, and she was like having seizures and stuff.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
Yeah, which was the one I remember. This is funny. I may be going a little off the thing, but there was one. It was funny. It was like some of the scare actors just did some very unusual. Like remember the ones where they were just going like, rawr, rawr,
yeah,
rawr, like these little quiet growls at you, and it was almost like more comical at some level than like trying to be scary. But
yeah, I remember another room in this one I really liked. It was such a simple concept. I don't know why it was so disturbing, but it was like crates, chicken wire crates everywhere. But they had like body parts in them.
Oh,
it was just such a weird visual. It was such a weird visual, but it was kind of cool. Now was this the one? I don't remember. Sorry, we're getting kind of these kind of screwed up because
we did a lot fast in a row.
Yeah, we did a lot fast. There's one that utilized the old motion simulator screen from the old motion ride that was there.
Oh,
so
right. That was that might have been Catacombs because it was the one that was in the Ireland section.
Yeah, but it was cool too because it used actually the entire projector screen just to show like dripping blood and stuff.
Oh, right, yeah, and it was like an IMAX size screen, so that was really cool. Yeah, that's the one thing they did I liked about these haunts because they were done they like utilized either seasonally closed attractions or just closed attractions in general. And they used what they had there to do some cool, impressive sequences. Like, they could have easily just not used that screen and put you in a hallway. But they said, hey, we got this giant screen here. We're going to use an effect.
Yeah, that was cool. And speaking of, probably the best use of that was our number 2 slot, which was Frostbite.
Right. Number 2.
So Frostbite was
We got like a
staged...
VIP kind of thing with that one.
Yeah, we got like the first tour of that one, but this one was the one we have some audio for you. And this one was staged in the Curse of Dark Castle attraction. So they actually closed the ride down, unfortunately, but they did get to utilize the screens and things. So you're actually walking through the attraction where you normally would be in a car.
Yeah, they literally pulled up the track, and you could or it might have been a trackless vehicle anyway, but you could see where the vehicles went. Like you walked in their path.
Yeah, it was cool because it had a neat theme. The Frostbite theme, obviously, there was like some ice. They had an intro at the beginning that explained the story, but there's some kind of ice guy that's taking over the castle.
And they basically incorporated the ride storyline. They tagged on that, how they had the dragon was slayed and there was the dead dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of neat how they did that. They basically they took the ride storyline and kind of made it to a haunted version of it.
Yeah, there was a really cool lady that I guess was like the ice queen lady out front when we were getting ready to start the tour.
She's in the group picture. Did you notice that?
Oh, is she? Yeah, she's really cool because she had this really cool ice frost effect on her face. Did you notice that?
No, I don't think I caught that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you looked real close, she had snow crystals and stuff around her eyes and things. It was really neat makeup. So I enjoyed that part of it. So I gave Frostbite had a severe shortage of scare actors.
It did. It actually had more the first night I went. At the part where they're swinging, they're flying people. There were 2 when I was there last time. They're flying and they were longer. It seemed like they barricaded it, so you only saw a little bit more of the flying. When I first did it, there was they flew across the whole length of that hallway. So I think they might have, when I saw it, since it was a preview night, maybe they decided to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah, so this one gets number 2 more on potential more than the actual scares because like I said, I thought it suffered from a shortage of scare actors, but I loved the use of the castle facade. I love the use of they had one part where snow's blowing in. Right. I just like the whole theme of it. I thought it was really, really cool and unique. And it
was funny because we went in with our group of people had our good friend Dan the T-shirt guy and Crazy Coaster Aunt Sue and Kevin with us, and it was kind of funny to see because oh my god, it seemed like they must have got together and they said, let's go pick on Aunt Sue.
Yeah.
Because you'll hear that in the audio, that shrilling scream every so often is poor Aunt Sue getting attacked. And there was the funniest thing is, I should have narrated it, but I would have gave it away. This one scare actor, literally followed her for about 30 seconds, right up against her face. And it's loud enough in there you can't hear anyone. So he was just walking along with it, a few inches away from her. And and I was just waiting and waiting. When she turned, she let out this blood-curdling scream that was hilarious.
Oh, well, actually, we could play the audio for that right now if you want to.
Oh, right, we should, yes.
He went sliding. Damn. They're going after Sue big time. Oh, I got Tim. Tim was his first jump scare of the evening. See, look, this is literally the ride track right here. That was the best one yet. Sue just looked at him. Uh-oh. Oh, I got hit. This part's cool. I like this. Oh, snow. It came out of the corner. That was the best when that guy was right next to Sue for 10 minutes. It was great. Oh. like that one. That one got me. Oh, he's coming after you, Sue. He went after. I like this part. Look at they like.
Number one.
But the first one I had up, which was my personal favorite of the night, was called Circus Sinistro.
Yeah, I think so.
And-
yeah, or I've heard him say Sinistro, but I think it's one of those the way you want to pronounce it.
Yeah, Sinistro sounds better. But anyway, this was kind of funny that this was my favorite haunt of the night because every haunt has a circus clown themed
Right.
haunted attraction.
Yeah, and this was the least I was looking forward to, which is funny for that
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, I mean, almost all of them have that. So I was expecting the typical killer clown, blah 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 blah, and it did have some of that. But I thought it was cool because it's set up as a series of circus tents.
Right.
So instead of just going through this generic normal house, you're first ushered into this big tent, and there's like this creepy girl swinging on a trapeze, and there's a ringmaster, and he says some little spiel, and then once everybody has heard the little introduction, then you kind of go walk through the rest of the houses.
Which I thought was a cool effect like that. I liked that. I was like, remember when we walked in, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why are we all in this one room? Is this not a real haunt? Is this just a show or something? But
Yeah. It was a pretty cool idea. And then as you go into each tent, there had kind of a little hint as to what was in there. Like, I remember one was called the Dollhouse.
Oh, that one.
And so,
like a doll's eye.
Yeah, but they had like these weird miniature houses lining the hallway until you got to it. And so then you'd go in and there was like these creepy porcelain masked doll people in there. And I remember one, I don't remember the details of every tent. One did have the weird clowns in it. And they were kind of spooky.
Was that the one? There was one where I can't remember if it was the dolls or the clowns. Because like they kind of move you through fast on this one. Because they're just the setup, how you're all built up into one room, and then they kind of release you a little bit of time. So you kind of like don't really have as much time to explore to some degree. But I remember there was one where it was a whole bunch of ones like things, and like some were real, some were fake, but it was really hard to tell. Until they got
that
up
was
to you.
cool. Yeah, it was the ringmaster room.
It was,
a
right?
ringmaster
Okay,
room.
that was it.
Yeah,
Right.
it was all mannequins
Right,
dressed as
yes,
ringmasters,
yes.
but some were real people.
Right, and that thing, that was a few. There wasn't that many times that I got a jump scare at me, but I think that was one because, like, literally, and it was a decent sized room, and it was. I mean, obviously, I don't want to use the word 3-dimensional because obviously, of course, it was 3-dimensional, but there was depth to the room, so it was like, you know, it was like 3 deep back. So I mean, the one that might have been, I think that was like could be alive may have been the middle one. So you really played with your senses because you couldn't tell what you were looking at. It was kind of darkly lit, so you really didn't know which. It was hard to tell which one was going to come. You knew one was going to do it, but you didn't know which one.
I just like the general. I like that it wasn't all just killer clowns. They had like that ringmaster room and the dollhouse room. They had some weird different things in there, but they still kind of all fit inside the circus theme.
Right, and it was the maze itself was a decent length, and I remember like you said, it was set up with the tents, so you kept going in and out of tent. You get really the feel like you were just exploring this like demented circus. Like you just weren't going in room to room in a house. You were going into individually set up tents, which was really cool.
Okay, so there you have it. There's our rankings for the HOWL-O-SCREAM haunts. Again, with the little asterisk beside it for the weather. Take it for what it is. It's just obviously our rankings don't mean anything.
Right. And I gotta tell you, even with the weather, that we still had an awesome day. I mean, because we're not going to talk about the coaster experiences, but just hanging out with the group of people, even if you just go with friends, it's impossible not to have a good time at this event. I mean, there are some funny stories which probably doesn't even make sense to tell because you don't know a lot of the backstory to some of the people, but just this was one of the most fun I had at an event like this. It was just great to have, and basically just you get like Kevin to these events and his reactions are classic.
Yeah.
So it's fun. The one thing though I want to say about Frostbite, which we I think we mentioned it when we were there, it's like, the fact that they closed the ride, made me think, I'm like, the way they utilize that haunt they could have easily still had the ride vehicles and made it a ride-through haunt. Because they used the screen a lot, and they did use some of the areas. They probably could have tweaked it to make it so that you could still be in your ride vehicle the whole time and still get some of these scares. I'm wondering if they would think about that, you know?
That's interesting.
Because how often do you get, like, I mean, it almost reminds me of kind of like what they did with the cars at Knoebels. You know, it's a ride, and then they would jump out and they jump on your car. They do all these kind of things, and yet you stayed in your vehicle. But so imagine that, where they had all those screens and all those things set already in that ride. I think they could have easily tweaked it so you still got the ride experience.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Because I don't think if I had a great top flight dark ride and it was haunt season, I would just convert it. Like Disney does that with the Haunted Mansion. They make I don't know if you've seen that. Have you ever been at Disney when they do their little overlays? But seeing the Nightmare Before Christmas Haunted Mansion is super cool to see.
So after Busch Gardens, I went down to Mount Holly, North Carolina area to my dad's big Halloween bash birthday party, which we had a blast at. It was fun, as it is every year.
Yeah, and I know Tim's posted some pictures which look really cool.
Yeah, but the thing I want to get down there for the podcast was the Hickory Grove Haunted Trail. Now, this is a haunted trail that is put on by the firefighter department.
They do a great job, firefighters, with their haunts.
Yeah,
you
they
ever
do.
notice that?
And,
They're some of the best haunts out there.
It's literally less than a mile from my dad's place. So we went there the first time last year and we're so impressed we couldn't wait to come back. And it did not disappoint. We're going to play some audio for you here in a little bit. But so what happens is you get in line. You are given a piece of rope. You have a guide on one end of the rope. And then they line up maybe anywhere from about 6 to 8 people usually. Hang on to this rope. So you're going to be led all through the woods and through these houses and stuff. So you have this, this worker, that volunteer that's guiding you through the haunt, but you don't want to ever let go of the rope, which is kind of a cool way to keep everybody together. Otherwise it'd be mayhem because you have people running all through the woods and stuff, which they obviously can't have. And it's really scary because it is out in the woods. It is dark and you don't know how many actors are out there. There's no way to get your bearings because it's a long, convoluted. This is a long haunt. I took over 20 minutes of audio.
Oh, wow.
I started recording right before we went in and did not stop recording until we got out. So it takes you a good 15, 20 minutes to get through it. And Kevin and I decided to go up there because the haunt starts at sundown, which you don't know exactly when that is. They just say, we're going to open at sundown. So we got there and we happened to be the first people in line. So I was the actual first person on the rope on this night to go through. So I'm terrified.
Making Civil Gore proud.
Yeah. So, but actually, as I found out, the first place on the rope is where you want to be because they try to scare the middle of the rope. Yeah, just like a conga line. The actors are going to go for maximum scare. But anyway, had a great time at this one. I will play a little bit of audio, but I wanted to tell the story about this first one that I'm going to play. So we had the first scene you come up on are these 2 old people sitting by the fire. They're in these old people masks, right? The creepy old people mask, and they're sitting around, sitting there like in a little campfire. And you come up and they stop. They stop the party, and then they start asking you, about where you're from, and this kind of thing. And so I'm going to play that audio right now, so you can kind of get a feel for what was going on.
What's your name there, son? What's that? What's your name? Kevin. Kevin, look here, son. I got a surprise for you. Don't jump, still, man. That's Gizmo. He's a good little fella. Kevin, reach out there and just scratch his little
I'm
belly.
gonna wish I didn't do this.
There you go. Oh, God!
Get away from these guys, please.
So if you didn't catch exactly what happened there, what happened is the old man had like a baby in his arms, right? And so he's after he asked Kevin, where you from or whatever, you could see he's talking about this baby.
Funny he asked Kevin.
Yeah, he opens it up and it's a gremlin. It's a gizmo from Gremlins
Interesting.
that he's got wrapped up in this cloth.
Tit.
And he's like, rub his belly, son. Like
Get in a circle,
Kevin's like,
Brian.
yeah, Kevin's like, no, I don't want to rub its belly. but he knew something was going to happen. This whole setup is not for nothing. And sure enough, when Kevin reached out to rub that damn thing's belly, this guy jumped out of a trapdoor in the ground.
Oh my God.
Scared the bejesus out of everybody. I mean, I had no clue that was coming. It was such a good scare.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was so awesome. And then it also serves the purpose of kind of staggering the groups because you have this little kind of show there and they have to do the reset. So it's kind of a cool way that's how they kind of timed it to stagger the groups. Another section that I thought was super cool was the guide asked us, she said, do you like the Halloween movies? Obviously, I do. Mm-hmm. We start heading towards this section and the Halloween music theme starts playing. And there's strobe lights everywhere. And I swear, Brian, we're walking there. I know Michael Myers is going to be in there somewhere, right? We're walking through. He steps out from behind a tree. And I got goosebumps because this guy was huge. He looked like he came out of the movie.
Oh my God.
A lot of times they put these Michael Myers in there and it's like some skinny guy that it's not really convincing.
That's cool because I thought Universal had the ownership on that as a haunt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe they do, but this guy stepped out from behind a tree and he had to have been 6'2", 6'3", and he had the muscle. And he looked convincing, and the mask looked real. I mean, it was really, really terrifying. It was super cool. I'll play a little bit of that audio right here now so you can get a taste of the theme.
You guys like Michael Myers?
Oh, yeah.
Still on the road? Yeah.
Oh my God.
God, I hope he's on the road.
Oh, God. Oh.
There's so many cool sections of this haunt, and I think we're actually going to release the full audio as a bonus. But another awesome conclusion to this haunt was, and they did this last year as well in a little bit different way, but basically they take you to this building. There's buildings all out in these woods that they're taking you through, pipes and everything. There's air horns going off sometimes and chainsaws. I mean, it's scaring the crap out of you. Well, this they get there and this clown is up there, and the guide explains that now we're going to drop the rope and you're going to go through this maze on your own, and you're supposed to put your hand on the shoulder of the person in front of you and kind of go in a conga line through this maze. So I'm first up, so we enter the maze and it is pitch black dark. You cannot see your hand in front of your face.
And it's still outside, right? Or you went in already at this point?
You're in a building.
Oh, okay, you went in. Okay. That's right, you said that. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I could not see. So I'm literally blindly feeling my way. Now, the hallway you're in, there's no offshoots to this maze. It's really just one long winding path. But it's so dark you can't tell where the turns are. and it's so narrow that you're basically like shoulder width through this whole thing. So you're stumbling and trying to feel your way blindly through this maze. And it took us, it seemed like forever. I know it wasn't, but it seemed like forever to get through this thing. I'm just and I could feel people behind me, you know, we're like, wait up, hang on. You turn here, do this, do that. So we finally come out of it. And this is something they did not do last year. We come out of it. We're in this open room and it's still pitch black dark. And I literally don't know what to do. The space is wide open.
How did you know? You just felt that it was no longer a
I could
hallway?
feel, yeah, I could feel that there was no longer a hallway. I can see enough that I know I'm in a dark, like, tent or room, and I don't know the way out. There's no exit sign. There's nothing. But I know I'm enclosed. I'm not outside. So I'm sitting there kind of like going, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do right now. I don't know where to go. And they just leave you there for an uncomfortable period of time. And then all of a sudden, 2 guys burst in through the tarps with chainsaws. Run! We took haul ass running out of the tarp and just run. And they chased us all the way to the parking lot. You can imagine the people in line. All they see is people just running out of these woods with chainsaws after them. It's so much fun. So I just thought it was just a cool idea.
God, I know. I want to do that now.
Yeah, leave you kind of sitting there going, I don't know what to do, and then all of a sudden they just jump on you.
That's kind of like, reminds me of like a little, remember like that one we did in Gatlinburg, the Mysterious Mansion, where there's like, you kind of explore like different, you're not sure what to do necessarily. You kind of like, you almost like backtrack a little.
Yeah.
But you were stuck, remember that one, it starts off with you in that situation where you're stuck in this room and you don't know where to go. I like when you do those kind of things, because some of it's more fun than just kind of walking through straight ahead, with a bunch of screaming people. So this one seems like maybe next time we go. Well, I'll say this, definitely when we finally make it down to Fort Wilson for the Halloween party, you definitely got to take us there.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, we'll definitely. And it's a bargain it's $15 to go through.
Oh my god,
I think
that's nothing. It's like parking for half these other ones.
Yeah, it's free parking, $15 to go through, and like I said, it takes you a good 15-20 minutes to get through. It's so worth it. We've had a great time both years we've done it. And actually, I think they upped their game a little bit this year.
Oh my god, I should have gave you my eye view glasses, and you could have just worn them.
Oh my god, yeah. But anyway, so you saw some snippets of the audio in this episode. We're just gonna release the raw audio of both the Frostbite walkthrough and the Hickory Grove Haunted Trail walkthrough as a bonus episode. If you want to download it and listen to it, you can. If you think that's boring, you don't have to bother with it. But I thought it'd be cool if you like haunts and stuff, you might enjoy listening to the full audio and hearing me and Kevin scream and that kind of thing.
And the other one, it's funny. Me laughing and Sue screaming.
Yeah. Now, and obviously the audio is not great on these because we're recording with phones in our pockets and that kind of thing. But I thought it turned out pretty good and it's listenable. So
although I got to tell you that I did that when I did our Mysterious Mansion walkthrough that time. Remember, I used my phone and that mic, that little cheap mic that I had. I'll tell you, it makes a big difference with when I bought that thing for the Civil Gore Tascam official recorder there. That picked up a lot better because it, like the mic, I think it's funny, Mike from Coastal Radio, he was the one that's saying like that this is the thing to get. And he was dead on because it did record almost like that. You almost have that binaural sound to it a little bit. It's got that like it almost you kind of feel the 3-dimensional sound to it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So anyway, it was a blast. We're gonna be back next weekend with an actual movie review.
Right. And we're working on something. Hopefully we can. I won't say what it is yet. I'm just gonna tease it. But we're trying to work on something for Halloween specifically. A
little surprise episode.
Yeah, a little surprise thing that I think you guys will enjoy. So we're going to try and work on that. And then we got some other stuff in the works, which I don't want to mention yet. So we're still trying to figure out the logistics and timing of it. But definitely something that will be a first for Civil Gore. So we're trying to work on that, too. We're not going to say anything about that yet either. Just as much as I just said, basically. That's all you get.
Yeah. And as usual, leave us a review. You know what? Don't do it on iTunes. Do it on Apple Podcasts. Because they make it real easy to rate. We found out rate your pod. So if you could just, even if you don't use the built-in podcast for iOS, just download our show long enough to give us a rating.
Yeah,
or just
I
search
like
for
that
it.
new format they have there. How it kind of like has the high best of kind of a thing.
Yeah, they make it real easy. And of course, follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We've been getting a lot of activity on Instagram with our photos and stuff we've been posting. So any of those formats are great to follow us, and drop us a line at Gmail or civilgorepodcast@gmail.com if you have any suggestions or criticisms or whatever of the show.
Yeah, and
we'd love to hear from you.
and another shout out to our loyal listener Cody too. She keeps churning along there on that horror movie challenge too.
Yeah.
She's rivaling Tim.
I know, and she's rivaling the creator.
Yeah,
the creators of the horror movie challenge. So, good for you, Cody. Keep it up. All you guys listening along, keep up the good work. Watch more movies, and we'll see you back here next week.
Talk to you all later. Wah.